That's a strong title. It suggests the tension between the narratives of global warming and the short-term or regional cooling effects people sometimes experience. You could use it as a starting point for an article, essay, or report that explores the seeming contradictions in climate science. Here are some angles you could develop under the Climate Conundrum: cooling versus warming realities. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel. Warming realities: the Climate Conundrum: cooling versus warming realities. On a frosty winter morning, when snow blankets city streets and icy winds cut through layers of clothing, it can feel almost absurd to think of a planet in peril from rising temperatures. If the Earth is really warming, some ask, why does it feel so bitterly cold outside? This question captures the heart of the Climate Conundrum: the coexistence of local cooling events with the undeniable march of global warming. Scientists have been clear: over the past century, the Earth's average temperature has steadily climbed, driven by the relentless buildup of greenhouse gases. Oceans are storing vast amounts of excess heat, glaciers are shrinking, and extreme heatwaves are becoming more frequent. Yet, paradoxically, climate change can also unleash forces that create temporary or regional cooling. Volcanic eruptions can spew ash into the atmosphere, shading the Earth for months at a time. Natural cycles like La Niña can stir the Pacific and shift global weather, bringing cooler patterns in some areas. Even the destabilization of the Arctic, which is warming 4 times faster than the global average, can push frigid polar air southward, causing sudden cold snaps in regions unaccustomed to such deep freezes. This tension between lived experience and scientific data often fuels public confusion. To the average person, a snowstorm feels far more tangible than a graph of rising global temperatures. Climate experts stress the difference between weather, the short-term atmospheric conditions we experience daily, and climate, the long-term pattern that unfolds over decades and centuries. A single cold day, or even a cold year, does not overturn the trend of warming that scientists have tracked across generations. The irony is that global warming itself may be making extreme cold spells more likely in certain places. As ice melts in the Arctic, the jet stream, the powerful river of air high above the Earth, can weaken and meander. Instead of keeping cold air locked at the poles, it sometimes allows it to spill south, chilling cities and towns that might otherwise expect milder winters. Thus, the very process of warming can, counterintuitively, bring moments of freezing. For policymakers, this dual reality is especially challenging. While the scientific consensus underscores the urgent need to cut emissions and prepare for a hotter world, public perception can be swayed by a single brutal winter. Leaders must find ways to communicate that climate change is not a straight line but a complex, shifting system, where warming dominates the big picture even as cooling episodes punctuate the story. The Climate Conundrum, then, is not a contradiction but a reminder of complexity. Our planet is both resilient and fragile, capable of producing paradoxical outcomes in its vast atmospheric dance. Understanding this balance, how local cooling fits within global warming, is essential if humanity is to move past confusion and toward meaningful action. Alright, let's take it deeper into a storytelling style, with flowing paragraphs that read like a feature article rather than an outline or essay. The Climate Conundrum: cooling versus warming realities. In January, a brutal cold wave swept across parts of North America, sending temperatures plunging to record lows. Schools closed, power grids strained, and people bundled themselves in layers, questioning once again, if the world is supposed to be warming, why does it feel colder than ever? It's a question that resurfaces every winter storm, a tension that lies at the heart of our modern climate conundrum. Scientists explain that what feels like contradiction is, in fact, part of the same story. Earth's average temperature is rising at an alarming rate, and yet warming does not unfold evenly. In some regions, the effects of climate change unleash patterns that can bring sudden, biting cold. The polar vortex, for instance, once contained neatly around the Arctic, has become increasingly unstable as the poles heat up. Each time it wobbles southward, frigid air spills into areas far below its usual reach, blanketing cities in snow while the Arctic itself melts away. For many, this paradox is difficult to reconcile. A farmer in the Midwest, watching his fields buried under ice, might feel skeptical when told the planet is in a warming crisis. A family shoveling snow from their driveway may wonder why scientists warn about heat waves and rising seas while they are freezing in their own backyard. This gap between personal experience and scientific reality has long shaped the public's perception of climate change. Weather is what we feel each day. Climate is the slow, relentless trend that reshapes the world over decades. The story of cooling within warming also reveals the planet's fragile balance. Volcanic eruptions can cast plumes of ash that cool the globe for a season. Shifts in Pacific currents, like El Niño and La Niña, can tip the scales toward heat or cold in distant regions. Even the melting of Greenland's ice sheet has ripple effects on ocean currents, threatening to disrupt the Atlantic's great conveyor belt of water. These shifts do not disprove global warming, they are signs of a system straining under the weight of change. And so, the climate conundrum lives on, both in nature and in human discourse. Politicians find it harder to rally support for long-term policies when voters are shivering through a harsh winter. Climate activists must explain, again and again, that warming can wear many masks: fire, flood, drought, and, yes, even snow. Meanwhile, scientists urge patience and perspective, reminding us that while a cold day makes headlines, the true measure of change lies in centuries of rising seas, shrinking glaciers, and ever warmer oceans. The paradox of cooling and warming is not a contradiction but a mirror of the Earth's complexity. The climate is not a simple thermostat that moves in one direction. It is a vast, interwoven system, capable of producing moments of confusion even as it trends inexorably toward heat. To understand this is to move past doubt and into clarity, that even on the coldest of days, the planet's long-term story is one of warming, and it is a story that demands our attention before the conundrum becomes a catastrophe.